So today I'm going to give you a short walkthrough of the Dean's Dashboard. The Dean's Dashboard is developed by Capacity Plus and has been based on the DHIS2 software. DHIS2 is an open source system that's used in around 50 countries across the world and numerous organizations, mostly for recording health information. But because of the flexibility of the system, it's also possible to extend the use of DHIS2 into other domains such as education. Very first thing that you'll see when you log on to the Dean's Dashboard is a logon page. And in this case, we've specified the username and password so that it's easy for the public to take a look at the Dean's Dashboard. Be sure you put in the correct password, which is case sensitive. When we log in, we'll see, well, basically a dashboard. In this case, I've created a demo dashboard. We have alumni, equipment and materials, finance, infrastructure, personnel, students. Dashboards basically allow for the creation and grouping of similar or related types of graphs, charts, tables, and other types of resources so that the information is really at your fingertips. Question is, how do we get actually information into the system? Well, we do that with data entry. In DHIS2, we have many different apps, and these are basically small applications that run inside of the larger application. So when we open up the data entry app, you can see on the left-hand side we have an organization unit hierarchy. In this case, we have the Ministry of Education, the National University, and then multiple faculties or other organization units inside of the National University. When I click on Alumni, you can see that I have a number of different data sets. And data sets basically are related groupings of data elements and indicators which we use to record data for a given organization unit and time period. Let's click on alumni by gender. And you can see here that in this case, this data set is actually yearly. So data would be recorded for 2013, 2014, 2015, and so forth. But it's also possible to change the periodicity of the data set and record data monthly or quarterly, weekly, even daily. When I choose 2013 from the drop-down menu, you can see that we have data which has been entered for the alumni from National University, and this provides a number of alumni by gender, male and female. This is for 2016. We can also see when the data was entered. If we click on details, we can see the username, their email, their phone number, and who it was entered by, which particular date. So if we want to enter data for 2017, we can simply enter the numeric value. Let's say it's 176 and 180. You can see that the data entry field turns green actually, which means that the data has been saved to the database. When I press complete, this will indicate that I've performed all of the actions which I need to in this data entry screen, and it registers the data as being complete. Let's go back to our dashboard now. What we're going to try and do now is to recreate this graph, which displays the income quintile of students for National University for 2013. You can see that we have 5 data elements, and the year is 2013. Let's just remove this from the dashboard for now, and we'll show you how we can recreate it. To do that, we're going to need to go to the data visualizer. So we choose that from the apps menu. On the left-hand side of the data visualizer, you can see that we have a number of dimensions. This is a control panel, if you will, that allows us to control how the graph is created. We can choose many different kinds of graphs, such as column charts, bar charts, line graphs, pie charts, a radar graph. I think this is a gauge chart. In this case, we're going to use the default, which is column chart. I'm going to choose my data elements, and I'll start with highest income range, above middle income range, below middle, and lowest. The default for when you create a graph is to use data over the last 12 months, and we'll choose National University as the organization unit. When I click on update, you can see that the system says that there's no values found, which means we don't have data over the last 12 months, essentially. But I do know that we do have data for 2013, so I'll choose yearly, 2013, and hit update, and you can see now that we have some data there. Problem is, it's not really a pie chart, so let's choose pie chart, and we'll click update. And you can see that we've got a pie chart now, but it's not really organized in the way that we want. So we need to change the layout. Basically what we need to do in this case is we need to move the data to the category and the period to the series. And we'll click update. And there's our pie chart, which basically shows the different income quintiles for our students for 2013. I can save this as a favorite, and I'll do favorites and add new, and I'll say demo pie chart, so it will be easy for us to find later on. And I hit create. You can see that we've saved a number of favorites, and basically favorites are a way to recreate graphs for other users. We could share them, for instance, with specific user groups. You can see here we can share this with other people. We could also overwrite a particular graph if we've updated the graph with new information. We could save this, or we could rename it. So we've created our graph, our pie chart, and let's see how we can put it onto the dashboard. We'll click Home, and we'll use the demo dashboard. All you need to do basically is to type in the name of the particular graph which you'd like to have on your dashboard. I save this as demo pie chart, and we'll add this to the dashboard by pressing add, and there's our graph that we just created. We could add other graphs such as alumni by gender, and now you can see that we have two graphs on our dashboard. We could also change the order or layout of these, such as increasing the size, making them a little bit larger. All of this is saved in your own dashboard. We could also share the dashboard with other people. For instance, with the public even. We could share the dashboard or specific user groups as may be needed. Example, let's see how we can create a table. We can see that we've got one embedded in the dashboard here, and this is graduation rates. You can see that these are actually indicators instead of data elements. Indicators are composed of multiple data elements. For instance, it has a numerator and a denominator, which provides a percentage essentially. So let's see how we can recreate this pivot table. We'll go to the pivot table app. We'll choose indicators. You can see that we have our graduation rates here. I can select multiple ones by holding down the shift key and pressing the first and the last one. I'll choose my time period, which I believe is yearly. Let's try 2015. And you can see that we have data for 2015. We'll get rid of the last 12 months here. You can see that this pivot table is laid out a little bit differently compared to the other one. So we can again change the layout, and we'll put the data on the rows and the periods on the columns. And now you can see that we have data for the indicators which you selected, and we can choose some additional time periods such as 2015 to 2012. We click update, and you can see that we have the table now, which was as part of the dashboard. DHIS2 by default creates summations by rows and columns, but you can see in this case it doesn't really make sense because the data is being aggregated, it's being summed up. We can change this by going to the options and hiding the columns and row totals, which in this case aren't really necessary. Okay, and there's our table. We can save it again as a favorite. You could say add new, and say demo pivot table. I'll just save the name and I'll press create so we can easily find this when we go back to the dashboard. So we'll hit the home button and we'll go to our demo dashboard. I'll resize them and make these a little bit smaller. And I'll put the name of the pivot table which we just created, press add. And that's it. We have our dashboard with two graphs and a pivot table.